Sometimes data sets can contain extreme data values that fall outside of the expectations of the data set as a whole. Those data values may merit some explanation as to their effect on the measures, such as the mean and standard deviation, that are sensitive to such extreme values. Sometimes it is possible to classify these extreme data values as what are called outliers. In order for us to determine whether or not a data value is an outlier, we're first going to talk about a concept called the range. The range is very simple defined. It's nothing more than just the difference between the maximum and the minimum values. And in this case, that's just going to be 95 minus 42, which will give us 53. Another measure that we'll talk about is called the interquartile range. And that is found by finding the difference between the third and first quartiles. So that would be 83 minus 76, which would give us 7. The process for determining whether or not a data value is an outlier is to do some simple calculations on these formulas: Q1 minus 1.5 times the interquartile range, and then Q3 plus 1.5 times the interquartile range. So we can see what we're doing. We're constructing an interval that would consist of 1.5 times the interquartile range less than the first quartile, so down here somewhere, and then 1.5 times the interquartile range added to the third quartile, so to the right up here somewhere. So if we go ahead and perform these calculations, we'd have 76 minus 1.5 times 7, which will give us 76 minus 10.5, which is going to give us 65.5. Now we'll do a very similar calculation, only this time we will add 1.5 times the IQR to the third quartile. So these two calculations provide us with some interval endpoints of 65.5 and 93.5, which we could put down here on our number line and compare these interval endpoints to our box plot. Anything that we have, any data value that is outside of this interval, from 65.5 to 93.5, we might consider an outlier. So for instance, the data value 42, which does appear to be really far away from all the other data values. It's 32 units from 74. Now 95, although it lies outside of that interval, we're not so sure we might call that an outlier, because it's pretty close to the data value 92. I mean, it's only 3 units away. So it's debatable whether or not that should actually be called an outlier.